Hello viewers, this is Marianne here from Revealing Light Tarot, Astrology and Spirituality. Wherever you are in this big, sometimes cruel but very beautiful world of ours, wherever you are, a huge shout out to you. Today is a pretty special day for me because it's a day when I do my annual predictions. It's a big deal for me. And I hope a big deal for you. It's where I bring my best psychic, clairvoyant powers forward, and we also look at the tarot as well. And we drill down on a wide range of topics that might be occurring during the year. I've already started this process in the last few weeks, where I have done readings on from climate change to the current US president. Some top line findings from those readings. Before I get into a little bit of the astrology, I feel in relation to climate change in many ways, this will be our worst year yet. Recently, the EU, in the last few days, the EU has really dropped its zero emissions by 2035. The US has already done so. There's pressure on countries like Australia to drop their zero emissions by 2035. And I think this will come in the next year as climate change really hits home in many ways. I feel that the year, while of course there will be droughts, while of course there will be earthquakes, the event that really I saw in graphic detail was huge flooding events throughout the year, and particularly I saw on the East Coast over New York. Massive storm cells, massive flooding events. I think everywhere across the world will be hit hard in one way or another with climate change events. And I've done a special reading on that for that reason, and it will be released within the first 2 weeks of January. I also drilled down on the US President Donald Trump, and I feel that there is a real issue around his communication in 2026. It's almost like he loses the ability to communicate effectively in line with his obvious health deterioration. So does his ability to convince people wane and deteriorate. He will demonstrate real issues around his ability to, I'm not going to say speak. I think he can speak, but he will fumble in his communication to a point where it can't be denied. I feel that one of the huge pressures on the US president is the economy. Now, I've been saying now to prepare. I think at the beginning of 2024, I saw literally the writing on the wall. Sometimes that's the way spirit communicates with me. I actually do see writing that the US, particularly the US economy, indeed the global Western economy, is in trouble as well at the same time. But the US economy was spiraling downwards, and then of course, since Trump has taken over, the economy is now crashing hard, with the word recession now being used, and particularly around jobs, loss of jobs. I feel February is one of the worst months. I think by February there's no denying it, and as the year wears on, Trump loses his ability to talk his way out of the blame game for what is happening in the US economy. And this can be tied to also the falling US dollar across the world. And, as we see this multipolar world rise, the USD may not be the world currency in 2026 to a large extent, particularly as we've already seen the southern part of the world using its own currency. So, economic problems in the US. Again, for a more detailed look at that reading, I'll be releasing the US President in 26 reading in the first couple of weeks of the year of 2026. Watch from March to July as a particularly tough time, a bad time for President Trump. All right, now on to the reading for today. I want to look at whether or not I've seen glimpses of a war in Europe. I don't think it's a long war. I think it's a reasonably quick escalation and a quick battle, and yeah, I just don't see it being prolonged. Now, as we know, Russia is already flying its drones, and there's incursions around airports, and that type of aggressive activity. It was interesting in news. I'm recording this toward the end of December. News emerged before Christmas that Trump's chief of staff apparently said that Trump does not believe that Putin will stop at the Donbass, that he actually wants all of Ukraine and then some. And so we're seeing a build-up of troops on the Belarus-Poland border. So let's look at Europe. Let's look at the war, whether or not there will be war there, or whether or not we have anything to fear from Putin mobilizing any further beyond his current war in Ukraine, invasion, I should say, of Ukraine. I want to go to the US midterms because part of the work that I did in the US president's reading was to look at the midterms, and I want to look at that in greater detail today because I feel that there's going to, despite whatever's done, the gerrymandering, whatever, and this, now in response to red states gerrymandering, we have blue states gerrymandering, and of course, one wonders if the election will be fair. But I do feel that regardless of what happens between now and the midterms, it is a win for the Democrats, at least in the House. But we'll look at that. In the Indo-Pacific, we're getting a mounting type of tension. The US has given Taiwan some ultimatums around its chips and manufacturing of chips, transfer it to the US. It seems like everybody's posturing for a China China to come in and take over Taiwan. What's going to be happening in the Indo-Pacific? We go also to South America and Trump's obvious threats to invade Venezuela. I've already seen he does send a force in. It's not a major force, but it's a force in to capture a strategic part of the territory in Venezuela. Whether it's to take a port or occupy a port, I don't know. There's something there in relation to Venezuela. And we can look also around his threats toward the Greenland and also parts of Canada, Alberta. More terror attacks. Is this going to be the way? We've recently had one in Australia at Bondi Beach. And it is fair to say that Western countries have engaged with IS in the past, Islamic State, and one wonders about the origins of these terror attacks. Anyway, will there be more terror attacks? The economy, of course, we're going to drill down on Middle East and Gaza. The surveillance state, Palantir, organisations like Palantir, the rise of AI, we'll take a look there. And finally, truth and propaganda. Are we ever going to make our way through that murky, murky pond of truth, whether or not we can get to the truth with so much propaganda is not even the right word for it. It's such a complexity of money for talking points, charade type behavior and planted narratives. It's so difficult for us to get to the truth, and this is going to continue. It's going to continue to get worse, and so those people who have what I would say is a credibility score are going to remain a valuable part of the internet as it descends into the question of what's real and what is not. Finally, I want to finish with some positive, what can we look forward to? A gathering of humanity, which leads me into just a few top line astrological shifts in 2026. Well, the outer planets, the slow-moving planets, are moving into new signs, and astrologers have called this a generational shift. It's when the collective shifts. We have Neptune and Saturn, which were once in Pisces, which were previously in Pisces, now moving to Aries. So the collective Piscean dreaming nature that we've been in is moving into more individual concrete type of action in Aries. The shift from Neptune to Aries, I'm talking about Neptune, occurs from January the 26th, and it will stay in Aries until 2039. I feel that, the ability to mould the truth in the past while Neptune was in Pisces, that's a polite way of saying lies, the rise of the lying state. It's not going to be as easy now because people are really getting a reality check, and what's bringing that reality check is Saturn is moving into Aries. Previously in Pisces, very hard for Saturn to impose its boundaries, because it is a planet of boundaries, of timing, of reality, of having to wake up and really understand what the predicament is that we've gotten ourselves into. Well, Saturn has been in Pisces. That's been hard because Pisces is boundless. But Saturn moving into Aries is a different thing altogether. This occurs on February the 13th. February I think it is the 13th till April 2028. And again, this is a big reality check where personal accountability comes to the fore, and leadership, the quality or lack of quality of leadership becomes very apparent. And we've been warming up to this. If you think about how we view leaders these days, we're quite critical of them if they're not performing, if they're trying to pull the wool over our eyes, as we say in Australia. We have that reality check. Uranus to Gemini. So generational shifts with Saturn and Neptune. Uranus to Gemini, February to 2026 to April 2028. And we will see innovation, some kind of breakthrough, in technological breakthrough. But there will also be sudden shifts and shocks. So I think there will, in terms of AI being a disruptor, I think that we're going to see that as well. Technology, the underbelly of technology, we will see quite clearly as Uranus moves into Gemini, because Uranus is the planet of shock. Gemini is the planet of communication, and lightning thought as well. Lightning words, lightning thought, lightning communication. So that hence it's often aligned with technology. Jupiter to Leo, lucky Jupiter to Leo in June 2026 to July 2027, focusing on creative expression, confidence, and also we've been talking a lot about the collective, because Pisces is very much about the collective, 12th house. But Leo is about the individual, like this kind of main character vibe. And I feel that we will, the collective is made up of each individual, isn't it? But I feel that we will be looking for very strongly for what we align with, and what we don't, we're not really wasting any time on. One interesting date that you might want to put into your back of your mind is Saturn and Neptune conjunct at 0 degrees Aries on February the 20th. Now, this will be both a historical and a spiritual reset, astrologers are saying. February 20th, well, when I did my US presidential reading, February is a really big month for the economy. So I wonder if we're going to see some huge economic event play out. July 2026, we have what's called a magic trine, and that's a trine between Pluto in Aquarius, which has really been unearthing so much for people power in the last year or two. Neptune trining Neptune in Aries, again, that kind of bringing into a bit of giving the individual form and really permission in a way. Permission to create, permission to dream, permission to move ahead with what's important to them. So there's a trine between Pluto and the Aquarius, again, that people power, Neptune in Aries, the individual pushing forward, and Uranus in Gemini, that thought. And they're saying that this magic triangle will bring an extraordinary breakthrough or innovation. So we'll watch that in July 2026. Another big event in astrology is the nodes of the moon the karmic nodes of the moon move into the north node in Aquarius and the south node in Leo. So it happens on July the 27th. So collective community, or community versus individuality. We could see a rise of humanitarianism as well. It only takes one spark, doesn't it, to light the flame. And the flame, I hope, will be a greater focus with the reality checks that are coming on what we need to get right, and what we're looking back on in the past as almost like irresponsible actions. And we strive now to look forward. North Node is about what we're destined to do, and that being in Aquarius. Aquarius is the collective, the groups. So I feel Aries will give us a push at the individual level toward moving forward. And Aquarius, of course, is associated with humanitarianism. So I, for one, would hope that reality checks bring us together into a common aim, and that is what is good for the human race. All right, let's get started with the predictions. Bear with me. These readings are always pretty major each year. Let's have a look at. Let's go firstly to the US midterms, November 2026. Let's see what we can see in relation to the midterms in the US. All right, what can you show me? So there's a great deal. Okay, those that were once divided are now aligned. So normally I will see, pitchforks and people like the mob, but they're dividing quite calmly, like they're standing back and allowing something to come through. It's like a free space for something to come through. What can you show me about the US midterms? Will there be a change? A change in the power or control of Congress? What can you show me? Yeah, I'm seeing a beautiful rising sun, setting sun and a rising sun. It's hard to tell. Yeah, the sun is setting on something. And of course, as we know, that after dark comes the light. Okay, will the US, what else can you show me? Will power change in the US, in the Congress, the houses of Congress, whether that's the House or the Senate, the representatives or the senators, will power change? What else can you show me? There will be a change. I'm seeing the Wheel of Fortune. And there's so much energy. It's like Saturn, Saturn's Father Time, but it's like the end of a cycle, a long cycle, comes very quickly. All right, let's drill down. For my US viewers, whether you're, doesn't matter what side of the fence you sit on, or whether you're independent and a free thinker, it's fair to say that there's been chaos, dissension, and tragedy in the US in the past 12 months. So, and we see an obviously deteriorating situation. So, will the Democratic Party in the US win the House in the midterms? So we have the Ace of Wands, a plan, a new start, and then prosecuting that plan with a great deal of skill and accuracy. Yeah, the Four of Wands. Sometimes this is my card that I refer to the Democratic Party. I have specific cards, but generally it means reunion. So there's not so much this pulling against one another. There's an opening up of space for something to occur. The Queen of Wands, and we get objectivity and planning. That's in the past. It can also be a lack of objectivity. In the sky, we have disappointment. 3 cups lost, but 1 cup is remaining. It's an offer. Sometimes the universe just conspires. I'm an Australian, and the recent Bondi Beach attacks generated a whole raft of calls to limit our free speech. I'm a free speech. I won't say absolutionist, but I believe in the power and the right of free speech. There were calls to curtail our free speech. And I feel that the universe was there, having our backs in the midst of such a tragic event, which could have led to, real action to curtail our freedom of speech. A Muslim man disarmed, a Muslim immigrant disarmed the Islamic State shooter, and is now a hero in Australia, and that's the way we roll. So we cannot be told by a foreign government what we can think and what we can say. We have strong anti-discrimination laws which prevent anti-Semitic type of action and speech, but we also have freedom of speech and association to criticise where we need to peacefully protest where we need to. How did I get onto that? Disappointment, 3 cups lost and 1 cup remaining, because there's a cup being given to people in the US. You've not got what they said you would get. You're paying more for your health care, your prices are up, your economy's crashing. There's a lifeline here. The King of Pentacles in the immediate future. I do feel that 2026 is a referendum on Trump, one way or another. But also on my last annual reading, which I'll drop a link to down below this video, talked about the oligarchy, very much people power versus the oligarchy. I see that kind of sentiment here. There's a great deal of confusion. That's Piscean energy, again, which will give way to that Aries energy. And there we have the sun. The Aries is associated with the first house of the zodiac, the identity, the I am, the sun. So the fog is clearing by the time we get to the midterms. Hopes and fears, unity, and particular groups that wouldn't normally come together, like libertarians campaigning for change. It's the unexpected. You will see the unexpected. And we get the 2 of Pentacles. So beware of manipulation. Beware of attempts to thwart a true result. But people are deciding. And I feel that the events will carry the impetus for them to decide in a particular way. The volatility that will be, well, that is there, that will continue into 2026. And we get wounded, retreat, and boundaries, finally. And that's a really a microcosm. We get the leadership moving on, and then we get anxiety, and there we get the partisanship. But we also get foreign policy coming into the frame as well. Some surprises, and also around Russia, something coming to fruition in time, and we get the Tower. So 2026 again is a huge reality check. I think we're going to see Republican voters voting Democrat here, simply to get this change. And I feel that by the time we get to the midterms, it's that kind of energy and wanting to restore boundaries because things have basically gotten out of control. There is an isolation here, a dark night of the soul energy. So I'm going to say it does look like it's going to be a difficult period of time in the lead up and the actual midterms. But I feel that people are going to make a decision based on, as I said, this quickness. We get the economy based on their money, dwindling reserves. So show me the Two of Pentacles. Yeah. Yep. It's a referendum against Trump in November 2026. All right. Let's now go to Europe. NATO still stands, of course. At this time, they're not pulling out of NATO. All right, let's have a look at war in Europe. What can you show me about war in Europe? War in Europe. Okay, what can you show me? Okay. I see people actually, citizens, it's something to do with mountains, whether or not there's a incursion over mountains. And I see people in villages being afraid. It looks like there is some kind of march of soldiers around the mountain areas. Now, I don't know if this is in Poland, whether there's an incursion over the mountains. I'm not sure. Let's have a look. People are praying. Will there be war in Europe? What can you show me? Will there be war in Europe? Waterway. Mountains and waterways. I see some kind of incursion in those two areas. Now, I've always spoken about the possibility of a short war in Europe. Mountains and waterways, incursions across a waterway and mountain. Okay, wherever this may be. Poland, the Baltic countries, I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with that landscape, but there's a river and mountains involved here. Will there be war between Russia and Europe in 2026? Will there be war? Somebody's having a downfall here. I've seen the Ten of Swords energy. Hopefully that is Putin. Will there be war in 2026 in Europe? They're talking about it. Again, the Page of Swords, it's not, I would have, if it was going to be long lasting and huge, I would have expected to see major arcana, but I feel the Judgment card speaks about an inevitability. The Page of Swords can be the spy in the camp. Something could occur around spying that is one step too far. Drones over airports, fighter jets mobilizing, but there is some event that takes it too far. And the Judgment is an inevitability card. It could be over the funding that has been frozen, Russian money that's been frozen. It's got to. There's money involved here, which could be a trigger as well. Now we have a new start in the past. Now, ultimately, the EU is saying it can't rely on the US anymore. We get the Lovers card, which is, again, Gemini energy. Relationships, again, leadership will be very accountable. Saying we're going to go to war and expecting the population to mobilise behind an unpopular leader, leadership and accountability is going to be very important. But we have wisdom, calmer heads, the King of Cups. Again, we have this Seven of Cups, this Piscean energy, which came up in relation to the midterms. And again, I'm recording this toward the end of the year, so the beginning of the year, we've still got Neptune and Saturn in Pisces. Not until February do they move. So watch January, the month of January, very carefully, and we get the environment around us having to defend oneself. So there's definitely a defensive posture here. Hopes and fears that it can be prevented, the Hanged Man, and the outcome is the Devil. This will be a war fought because of greed, because of money, and this is a very toxic energy here. We have the Three of Cups and 1 cup remaining, as this again feeds into what happens in the US midterms here. 1 cup is being offered, and then we get restriction and worry, and finally the village type people that are, this could be a migration, not a migration, but this could leave if fighting does break out, could put people on the move. And then we get the Eight of Pentacles. Putin's going to do something, unfortunately, which is a step too far. As I said, there could be an incursion in waterways or mountainous area. It has to do also, it may be in response to keeping the Russian money, the frozen Russian money, billions and billions of dollars, because Russia is broke. Fighting wars they can't pay their soldiers. It's not going to go well for Putin. I don't see it as a long or sustained thing. I see more doing something that is that would trigger Europe to respond. We have 3 cups lost, 2 remaining. There's definitely action here in 2026. We get moderation. Yeah, I just don't see. I've not got the Tower here. I just don't see it being a full-scale war, if I can just say that. More likely incursions, which are put down reasonably quickly. Okay, let's go to the Indo-Pacific. Sorry, I'm using the Rider-Waite. I have the Light Seers Tarot and also the Lunar Somna Tarot. I'm using the Rider-Waite right now. Okay, let's look at China and Taiwan. Is China going to invade Taiwan? Let's take a look at this clairvoyantly. Is China going to invade Taiwan? Is China going to invade Taiwan? What can you show me, please? Ooh, it's like an angel descending out of the sky, and people have their hands up. It's like a faith thing. That's an odd thing to get. What is this? There's protection here. There's protection in relation to China and Taiwan. I don't know what that means, but there is protection. Is this US going to step up when it's said that it won't? I don't know. There's some kind of protection here for Taiwan, which may thwart an attack. Show me the Indo-Pacific. Show me the Indo-Pacific, please. Yeah, many are standing against taking Taiwan over by force. I don't think China is going to make a move in 2026 against Taiwan. I hope that I'm right. W, where am I seeing the W there? Well, W for war. It's being stopped in some way or slowed down in some way. Okay, so let's consult the tarot. So I'm not getting a vibe. I feel that 2026, we come very close. We might have actual skirmishes. We may have a breakout of something, but the world reacts very, very quickly to bring things under control. Perhaps we see the value of unity where once there was division. I feel we go to the edge, almost over the edge in some ways, but not quite all the way down to a fall. I hope I'm right. Will China invade Taiwan? Will China invade Taiwan? Okay, so we have 3 cups lost, 2 remaining. That is the minor arcana death card, but we get wisdom covering that. So yes, I think that there's going to be cooler heads will prevail. We have the past here. It could be that there is, I don't even know why I'm saying this, but an arrangement that is come to in relation to China and Taiwan, which avoids an invasion. Okay. And it has something to do with the past. Now we have moving out of troubled waters in the past, and we have the Queen of Pentacles, financial stability, and we have a great deal of anxiety here. We have the Sun card in the here and now, and we have secrets. Okay, so there's something hidden here. There's something hidden. The World card is in the hopes and fears, the ending of a cycle. And we get the Knight of Wands. So we get a movement forward. And again, there's the Devil card and strength. So there will be a show of strength in relation to China. This could be the American president and the volatility. And then we get lies and deceit. It's done in such a way. So China may make a move to take over Taiwan without there being a full-scale war. And it might be a midway process. It's not a full thing. But modelling showed that the US would not win against China in a war without its allies. So I feel that there's going to be a show of strength, definitely, by China, but there's something that sort of slows it down, and maybe there's some kind of compromise position. Plans, and now we have the Tower, so it is an area to watch. So the Seven of Pentacles, if one plan doesn't succeed, we try another. And then we get marking time, waiting for one ship to come in, and then isolation. So, yeah, I think China might try and legitimize a takeover of Taiwan in some way. Will the Americans stand by? I don't know. I don't know. Will Trump government sort of stand by? I do feel that there is a breakthrough for Taiwan. Maybe this is an avoidance of war, and maybe there's this compromise position taken in some way. I'm not seeing a full-scale war between China and Taiwan in 2026. High-level diplomacy will likely avoid that. I hope that I'm correct. All right, South America and Venezuela. South America, Venezuela in particular. Are we going to see the US fully invade? I talked about some taking of a strategic territory, maybe a port, mountain road or pass. blocking the borders, I don't know. Is the US going to fully invade Venezuela? What can you show me? The US is going to fully... Maduro is going to be pushed out of power. Maduro will leave because I see him in bed, like ill or retreating. The Four of Swords energy. Maduro will leave before, I think, a full-scale war happens, which is exactly what they're trying to achieve. So, will the US go to war with Venezuela? They're doing deals, the US and China, and it's all about deal making. The Queen of Pentacles, domestic stability, and then defending oneself. The World card, the end of a cycle. We get the Knight of Swords. I feel they will. The Queen of Swords, objectivity. Yeah, there's some kind of plan, war plan, basically. And there is the Devil. What's all this about? Oil and gas reserves. This is a crossroads. If the US does this, takes Venezuelan oil and gas, what does that say for the rest of us? The Ace of Cups. And then we have Temperance. Okay, Temperance, and then pausing or suspending something. Okay, so I feel that Trump will go too far with this. There's the Five of Swords. But I feel that he is curtailed by Congress in some way, because moderation and prevails. And we get the voter, and complete and utter downfall. So he goes too far, and I'll stick with my original prediction. I think he does send a small strategic force into there. They capture something. Maybe that was more tankers. But I think Trump is prevented by the actual Congress from waging a full-scale war. In any case, Maduro leaves. So they get what they wanted, a regime change in Venezuela. All right, let's look at terror attacks. I am skeptical when I see Israel working with Islamic State, a militia linked to Islamic State in Gaza to undermine the peace protest and to fight against Hamas, to destabilize the peace protest. We know the CIA has a history. We know weapons of mass destruction was an absolute furphy. I am very skeptical of who and what are behind these terror attacks. But let's have a look. Regardless of that, at that high level, perhaps manipulation. Okay, so there's a bomb going to be set off in a major city, because I'm seeing plumes and plumes of smoke, and there's a very tall building there, skyscrapers everywhere, but one particular building is taller than the others. Okay, so yeah, people will have to leave by way of it's like a pathway, over water. Okay, so I feel that there will be a bombing in a major, is this a US city? Wherever that very, very tall building is. Okay, so sorry, there's a flag being flown. I'm trying to make out what the flag is. There's somebody that's looking for victory. White flag with red on it. Anyway, that's what I'm seeing there. So let's have a look at the tarot. Will there be terror attacks? More terror attacks. I'll get onto the economy shortly. Will there be more terror attacks across the world? London, I'm getting as well. It could be London, the city that I'm seeing. Will there be more terror attacks, please, in 2026? I hope to goodness not. Yeah, there will be, because I'm seeing people being taken out on stretchers. So we have the Hanged Man, and then we get, So we have to look, part of all this waking up is not just about have we got the right leader or the wrong leader, but it is to look at what is behind or what is above the leaders that we're getting. What interests are dictating the way we are governed, the perils that we are put through, the gaslighting and propaganda, the obscuring of the truth. So we have the King of Swords. It's in the planning perhaps now. In the past we have fighting, tug of war, and we have Trump or the Emperor. And we have King of Wands, the Congress, or stepping up bravely, something connected with the past and the truth emerging. We have the Four of Wands, homes, families, and then we get families and complete and utter downfall. And we get a surprise event. So this could target, I'm afraid there will be. People are going to be hurt. But I want to say there are reasons for this to occur now, and it has everything to do with money. There could be an attack on the US stock exchange or something like that. Again, the breadth and scale of what we have to face as human beings about the world we've created or allowed to be created, the dispossession, the disempowerment, the rise of this toxic, devilish greed that has no conscience. We have to face it if we're to do anything about it. There will be watershed moments in 2026, and yes, there will be terror attacks. Okay, I hope that I'm wrong on that. All right, so let's look at the economy, please. We'll change decks now. I'll move into the Lunar Somna Tarot. What can you show me about the economy, please? What can you... Okay, so the gains are not going to be that high. I think on the stock market, I'm seeing the days where things would soar are over, certainly in 2026. The stock market will at best remain stable and fall at various times. No more highs, so to speak. And whether I'm describing, a scenario that indicates a recession, if that indicates a recession, that's the scenario I see. Okay, so there are clouds forming, unfortunately. Show me the economy in 2026. There's going to be a great deal of, I don't even know why this came, but you could see moves on gun reform in the US. They're not going to like that. The gun owners aren't going to like it. That's just an aside. Show me the economy in 2026. The global economy in 2026 as well. Yeah, people are struggling to put food on the table. Struggling, homeless as well. Homelessness rising. It's a slowing down of the economy in 2026. If you want to use the recession word, you can do that as well. As I said, key month is February. All right. Show me the economy, global economy in 2026. It's a reality check in every way for us. We're going to have to make individual decisions, all of us. Show me the economy in 2026. Show me the global economy in 2026. How can it not be, is what I want to say. How can it not be? The world, the ending of something. It is the world card. That's not a good card. We're all going to struggle in one way or another. The world card is an ending of an old cycle and a beginning of a new. We're going to have to innovate. We're going to have to... and the Ten of Pentacles, yeah. So make sure all your savings and investments are in solid places. The Queen of Swords, objectivity and decision making. It's not a time for speculation, no risky stuff. The Ace of Pentacles is in the past. I feel that the USD will fall even further. I wish I could bring you some good news, but it's not all unwelcome news, because I feel that while it shrinks, it's not completely and utterly decimated with that Page of Wands. There's time to save it. It's like, what did you expect to happen? The Justice card. What did you expect? The Magician, tariffs creating inflation, burgeoning debt, tax cuts for billionaires. What did you expect? Again, how do our countries, who and what do our leaders kowtow to? How are policies developed if they're not developed for the people? They're developed for other interests. That generally, getting money out of politics is the biggest thing, the biggest favour we can do for ourselves. The Magician card, manifestation. Now, the Empress card can be a season of time. We get the Two of Swords, the crossroads in the hopes and fears. And we get the King of Wands. So I feel that even though, and the Ace of Cups, a reset, I feel the economy is being reset, and the Queen of Cups, something that is hidden, will come to light. And the Four of Pentacles, yeah. Money certainly is, it's going to be hard in 2026, but I don't see a depression. I hope I'm right. I see that it falls, but not all the way. I feel that certain action in various other countries, it will be in relation to the leadership and how corrupt or otherwise your government actually is. I have to put it bluntly. That's the Nine of Cups, wish fulfillment. A few get rich while the rest of us get poor. Plans aren't going accordingly, and we get a complete and utter downfall. So I feel that while there will be a recession, I don't think it escalates. We're not going to see depression. So various ways. I'm pretty sure the Supreme Court will overturn the tariffs. I'm pretty sure the Congress finds its valor. Well, that's not the right word. Finds its will to survive. The Republicans, and I feel that they put the brakes a lot on what Trump has, some of the damage Trump has done. So while there will be recession, I don't feel, and we could even see a 2008 scenario, but it's not, all is not lost. Okay. Let's go to surveillance and AI, particularly American firms like Palantir, Microsoft. What do you want to show me in relation to surveillance? Skies, they're looking at us from the sky. Surveillance systems are being put up. Satellites dedicated totally and utterly to surveillance are already there and will increase in their numbers. When that old saying, you're being watched, Big Brother is watching you, is absolutely correct. As I do this reading, I'm probably being watched. And it's going to increase. It's going to increase. Yeah. it's like this. The whole populations are being surveilled. It's like they need a stick. They have a stick, and it's like they're looking for things before they happen. It's like people talk about a pre-criminal surveillance type of setup, and we're going to see that come online in 2026. That's going to lead to all sorts of issues around people's rights being trampled upon. It's just so much of it. It's like in the air, like it's surveillance. It's like a whole world is opening up of people being surveilled. This is not good. It's not good, and people will rally against it. It's such a breach of privacy. Good luck with trying to get legislation through. Of course, much of it will be done secretively. Much is being done secretively. So show me AI building models, to surveil people and selling it to other countries. Show me surveillance. Will surveillance of civilian populations increase in 2026? And this is why there's no regulations on AI. There's the devil again. We have to watch for that. The Four of Pentacles. Your financial data will be surveilled is being surveilled. And then we get the Knight of Swords. Again, I saw that against the people. This pre-criminal stuff is coming. Two areas: financial data, how much you have, where you've got it, how you're spending it, and also the Knight of Swords, this pre-criminal stuff. The Ten of Swords, complete and utter downfall. Well, that's in the past. The time to act is gone. This is why it's such a reality check in 2026. The Temperance card, moderation, but not without hope. Not without hope. It's up to us to put pressure on our lawmakers and our leaders. The Eight of Cups, loss and walking away. The Two of Pentacles, manipulation can be decision-making. And there's the Ace of Swords, the truth. I feel that the truth is we're going to know who and what is doing this and how it's being how it's being done and how much. And it will be challenged in the courts, the Hierophant card. And then we get the Hanged Man. Some of it is going to be stopped. Some of it, we're going to make sure some of it is stopped. And the Three of Cups, and we can only do that by coming together. And the Six of Swords, moving out of troubled waters. Thank you very, very much. Blue and red, left and right, doesn't matter. You're all being surveilled, but we're coming together to try and stop this. And it looks like we're successful in maybe stopping the worst of it, or stopping the speed at which it's happening. Okay, Middle East and Gaza, and then we'll look at truth and propaganda. All right, Middle East and Gaza. So will the ceasefire... 400 Palestinians have been killed since the ceasefire was inked. Palestinians are living in tents that are flooded. There's been no real progress. Netanyahu is still fighting to destabilise the West, to get us to go to war with Iran. They came out and said, with the help of the Daily Telegraph, or the Telegraph in England, that Iranians were responsible for the Bondi Beach massacre. No, it was Islamic State. Okay, well that would lead us to truth and propaganda, but I want to, funny we're talking about the Middle East and Gaza. Will the ceasefire in Gaza hold? Will the ceasefire in Gaza hold? Yep. I see vehicular movement. Vehicles coming in. Aid moving in. Will the ceasefire in Gaza? Lots of vehicles coming into Gaza, or machinery, trucks. Will the ceasefire in Gaza hold? Yeah, the Ace of Swords. That's good. Good to know. Yeah. And in fact, you're going to see, I probably don't need to read any more on that, because I want to get on to truth and propaganda and anything else. Maybe look at further look at climate change beyond my initial reading. Yes, it is going to, and you're going to see a lot of aid coming into Gaza in 2026, a lot of reconstruction, and we get a new start. So I'm really pleased with those cards. Even though we see Gazans still being killed, progress is increasing there. All right, truth and propaganda. Are we ever going to come to terms? I'm going to use the Light Seers Tarot. Are we ever going to come to terms with the fake, altered content, the gaslighting, the planted narratives, the propaganda, for want of a better word? Are we ever going to come to terms with what is being done to us all? What has been done to us, what is being done to us, what will be done to us in the future? Are we ever going to come to terms with this truth, with this propaganda, to face the truth on so many levels? Where does one even start with someone who doesn't really read the news, doesn't really think analytically, just believes what they've always believed? Are we waking up to how badly we've been propagandized, our leadership, how badly our leaders have done? How badly our leaders have done. And I have to say, the current US president is one of the huge reasons that control has slipped. But his long cycle is coming to an end. Okay, so are we waking up to the propaganda, the planted narratives? Are we waking up to the truth, please? Are we waking up to the truth? The old ways are dying, basically. So the Devil card. What is the devil? This is a good way to finish this reading. What is the devil? It's darkness. And I picked this deck for a reason, because the light is coming through this person's hair. This person has a hand outstretched. Come into the darkness so that you can perceive the light. The devil, greed, avarice, the Nine of Pentacles. We've had a stake in this, all of us. You know, the rushing into the sales, the spending of money that we don't have, the wantonness, the way that we've chosen to live beyond what's good for us, the sheer rank, or the sheer weight of capitalism that we've been carrying, this out of control type of energy. It goes right through all of us. The Seven of Swords, the lies, the deceit that we've been fed, is at the foundation of the reading. We can start by not denying the truth. We can start by assuming most things are going to be not true, or at least complex. Look at what they're stealing from us. Look at what they've stolen from us. Temperance and moderation is in the past. The left versus right stuff is a opportunistic condition that benefits leaders. Strength is in the sky. Again, we are growing stronger. The Eight of Swords. Right now, it overwhelms us. What can we do? Who am I? What can I do? The Knight of Pentacles. Steady progress forward. It helps to remember that there is progress being made, that there are good leaders, that there is truth out there. Look for credibility. Stay with credibility. Leave the fake stuff alone. Three of Wands, working hard, waiting for one ship to come in. Steady progress is being made. The star card in the hopes and fears. It's right to have hope for a better society, a better world. But the choices are always ours to make. The Seven of Cups. Which choice are you going to make? And it does come down to the individual. Neptune in Aries will force us to look at the choices we are making. The Queen of Cups, compassion. Such a compassionate card to pull. Compassion for ourselves, compassion for others. Looking after self, looking after others, and leaving behind what no longer serves us. What did we think we were? Where did we think we were climbing to? But it hasn't worked for us, has it? And there's the Tower, 2026, Uranus in Gemini, Saturn to Aries, Neptune to Aries. Huge restructuring from the economy through to international, violence, conflicts, international conflicts, the need for unified action and diplomacy. Where have we come and what have we done? That's 2026. What have we done? And what can we do to undo and move forward in a more life-sustaining and hopeful way? Look to the eclipses to provide answers, and a lot of what will happen is inevitable. Okay, coming together is our biggest strength. Coming together in 2026 is our biggest strength. I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to leave that there. I will, hopefully you'll get something out of this. It's a huge thing for me. I did actually, before I leave, I did want to just pull out my rods. Because I felt I should. Okay. Can you show me that you're here, Spirit? Thank you. That's yes. And then a no is on cue is out there. Yes, thank you. We've got it right. Very responsive rods. So we've just been talking about humanity. Will humanity survive 2026? Yes, we will. Will there be depression in 2026? Will there be a depression in 2026? No. Okay. Will there be recession in 2026? Okay. So thank you, Spirit. Thank you for confirming and validating my clairvoyance and readings. Let's ask, will the US president step down or go away in any shape or form in 2026? Okay, there. It's a watershed year for the US president. Thank you, Spirit. Will there be a incursion in Europe? Okay. All right. Yes and no. Okay, so thank you, Spirit. Will it be a protracted, long, drawn-out war between Russia and Europe? Will it be a protracted, long, drawn-out war between Russia and Europe? No. So that's the saving grace there. It's more likely to be isolated acts of aggression, on which they have to act upon. Will Putin... Ooh, will there be peace between Ukraine and Russia? Will there be a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia? Okay, I'm not getting any answer on that, neither yes nor no. Okay, so sometimes this happens. Spirit does not want me to say. Okay, thank you. All right. Um, all right. Will Australia's economy be steady in 2026? Steady as she goes. Will Australia's economy be, yeah, okay. So some countries will fare better than others. Will Canada's economy withstand the storms in 2026? Yep. Okay, show me is the US economy in recession? Yeah. So a change of leadership is going in the US. A change of approach, at the very least, is going to be necessary to avoid so much pain. I feel you'll see a strengthening of the Congress. There has to be. It can't continue the way it is. All right, that's my predictions for 2026. Thanks for tuning in. If you've made it through the entire video, I hope that you've taken away something of value. I'm tested on my annual predictions. I'll leave last year's down below. Let's see what is likely to happen. Okay then, bye for now.